Qualia and consciousness. Qualia is the philosophical term that refers to the external characteristics of an object and the way the object appears in consciousness. When we speak of an object, we speak of its qualia. Thus, one who is aware of a particular object is not aware of the thing in itself, but merely of the way in which the thing appears within a sensory experience. Qualia are the objective properties, as external objects show themselves in conscious experience. The concept of qualia, or an external perceptual property, is analog to the concept of impressions used in the fourth way system. The system considers impressions as food. Food comes in different kind of qualities, and so does impressions. An impression is a qualia that can be subdivided into different qualities, depending on how an impression makes an imprint on a specific center. The quality of an impression correlates with the degree to which that impression evokes mechanicalness in man. For example, an original impression of a Rembrandt painting has a different degree of presence than the mechanicalness of an IKEA poster. The various properties or qualia are not identical to the object, but merely representations of the object. This conception of reality is known under the heading of representationalism. Representationalism assumes that qualia are the objective aspects by which the object shows itself in reality, and that this objective quality transcends the inner experience of the subjective. Considered in this way, a representationalist approach to consciousness seems to allow for a robust physicalism about consciousness. Therefore, we speak of a factually correct experience if that experience is consistent with the objective measurables of the properties or qualia of the object. The question here is whether an experience of the external property is objectively experienced the same way by every person. Each subject may name a particular sound by the same name but experience it phenomenologically in a completely different way. The frequency of blue light is objectively measurable, but is the experience of blue light the same for every subject? By definition, we do not have immediate access to another person's first-person position, so the answer to that question seems impossible to answer. Another dimension that potentially confounds a universal explanation of the experience of qualia is that a given object can be sensually perceived through different modalities. One can hear, see, feel or smell a moving truck, but how can we decide whether an experience in one modality is identical to an experience in another modality? Philosophers have distinguished two different aspects of the experience of sense data. First, there is an epistemological component. And second, there is a phenomenal component. Epistemologically, certain qualia can be explained functionally because they can contribute to the possibility of survival. The difference that qualia make is that the subject can distinguish red from green and thus move safely in traffic. All in all, the physical aspects of qualia may or may not be objectively quantifiable. The case remains that all the phenomenological aspects are highly subjective and thus not intersubjectively accessible. This inaccessibility makes direct scientific investigation impossible and serves as another example of the hard problem of consciousness as coined by David Chalmers. In conclusion, it might be said that the difference in the experience of a particular qualia is heavily prone to the old saying that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. We may differ in opinion about objective, measurable aspect of an object, but opinions on how a certain object is perceived remains a question of personal subjective taste. A distinction based on the degree of mechanicalness an impression evokes, as stated in the system of the fourth way, might be an angle worthwhile verifying.